Good afternoon, and welcome to another edition of PharSide Pholios, where we are celebrating and expecting the amazing in the month of August. And today we have a special guest author with us, none other than Dr. Sheila R. Thomas. She is the founder of Thomas Educational Consulting and Training, as well as Great Day Publishing. She has worked in the early childhood field for over 30 years as a teacher and college professor. She's right from the start trainer and a CDA specialist. Dr. Thomas retired in May of 2020, but continues to work part-time as an intervention teacher and an adjunct professor. She utilizes her brand to train, facilitate, and educate parents and teachers with curricula and books that she has written. She's the author of a children's book, JR's Biggest Fan, a coloring book, Yes I Can, an upcoming book, My Little Sunshine, and an inspirational book for women, WAIT, Women Anticipating Incredible Turnaround. So welcome to the Far Side, Dr. Sheila R. Thomas.
Thank you. I'm so delighted to be a part of this broadcast today.
I am so excited to have such a veteran educator on the show. It's always a unique experience when we talk to educators who have written books for children, and have that background knowledge, having worked with children for so many years. So you definitely bring a unique perspective to your writing. So we're glad to talk to you today about JR's Biggest Fan. So let's get into it. So what was the inspiration behind JR's Biggest Fan?
Well, my inspiration for writing my book, JR's Biggest Fan, is because of the love for my sons. The book is about my sons. So I've always supported their every endeavor and always been their biggest fan. So I wanted to share this positive message with other parents and their children to encourage them to always be their best, and for the parents to support and participate in any activity with the child, to let them know that, hey, I'm your biggest fan. I'm here to support you along the way.
Okay, so without giving, I know it's hard, without giving the whole story away, what can you tell our live audience, as well as those who will catch it by replay, about JR's journey to discovery?
Well, in this story, JR tries so many different things, just a few different things that everyday children may participate in, whether it's at school or at home. And in some of these things, and most of them, he was unsuccessful. But his mom was always there picking him up and encouraging him to go on and do it. And at the end, JR saw something magical one day, and he said, this is what I want to do. And it ended up being the passion of both my boys, because, like I say, it's a story about them, and it is their passion this day.
Beautiful. What's a favorite line that, or part of the story, that stands out for you? That's
My favorite line in this story is the line that's repeated by the mom that says, son, never give up. Yes, you can. I'll always be your biggest fan.
and that's so something that our children, uh, in particularly children of color, need to hear, that there's somebody in their corner rooting for them. So what to you does that saying mean to you when you're telling a child that you're their biggest fan? What does that communicate?
It communicates to me that I support you. I have confidence in you. I believe in you. I'm here for you in case you fail. I'll always be there. And let's try this again. And if not, let's find something else that you may be able to do. But of course, continue to try. And if it's not working for you, let's try something else. So it just means that I'm always supporting them and always being there for them.
Now, besides JR's biggest fan, you've done a coloring book. And
Yes.
then you have, and then you got another. You got the upcoming book, My Little Sunshine, and I love Sunshine, Sonshine, Sunshine,
Yes.
and then your inspirational book. So, what has been one of the most surprising things that you've learned in the creation, of these books?
Well, beginning with JR's biggest fan, what I found out was in doing my research to write my book is that there are not a lot of books that represent our black and brown boys. We're very underrepresented. There was actually some research that was conducted, and I have some of the research that shows that most of the characters in the book are of animals. 29.2%, this survey that was conducted by the Children's Book Center showed that the main character in most books are animals, 29.2%. Then white children or white characters are represented 41.8%. That leaves the Black and African American characters to 11.9%. So we're well underrepresented, and so I figured, hey, we need to do something to change this platform so our boys and girls can see themselves represented in books.
And the statistics that you quoted are definitely surprising, to hear, and especially when you look at, schools, the makeup of schools and around the country and classrooms, and what our children are being exposed to or have access to. And this story that you've written about JR's biggest fan, we hope that um, we're going to share it with our colleagues. I'm definitely going to share it with my colleagues, and hopefully, um, we want to see your book in classrooms across the country, a part of classroom libraries, even school libraries or public libraries, so that, children of color can, see themselves reflected and have that, representation, and they get to hear that someone will always be their biggest fan. So I applaud you for your effort and just going through that process and even doing the research to find that information out as you began this writing journey. You introduced JR as a child who likes to try new things. What Given your background and years of experience, what are some helpful strategies for parents and educators in an effort to help children, try something new?
But basically, my advice to parents and educators is to help children to try new things, is to simply allow them to explore and participate in activities that are safe and hopefully will make them feel safe and secure and allow them to achieve at their fullest potential. That's what we want children to be successful. So we want to reach them where they are, take them where they are, and help them to achieve those certain goals. I want to remind all educators and parents that children are naturally eager to learn. They want to learn. So we have to create an environment that encourages exploration and encourage them to connect to the world and around them. And then for it to be a joyful experience for them. That joyful experience will be where parents are encouraging them to go and do their very best. And when they may fail along the way, say it's okay. Try it again. I'm here to help you. We use a term called scaffolding a lot in
Mhm.
education. I'm sure you've heard of that. It's that, we're holding their hands, but we also letting them go just a little bit to try the things that they enjoy in their environment that's conducive for learning.
So, as we're helping children, explore and discover new things, and helping them find those things that they'll connect with or are of interest, or maybe something that they become passionate about, what are some ways that we can help them, even in that process when they encounter disappointment in their journey of discovery and exploration, and it's not what they expected, it to be, or the thing they tried to create didn't turn out like they wanted to, or they feel like they have failed, or they're really disappointed with the outcome or the result. Or so, how can we help children cope through that period of disappointment?
Yes. We're so big on social emotional learning now, and it's so important for our children. We must teach them how to cope. That's what parents must do when they're discovering, they're exploring. What parents must learn to do is listen to their children. Listen attentively to what they're saying and let them express their feelings, and then let them express their frustrations, and not always try to fix it. Encourage them to fix it. Ask leading questions. What can we do about that? How can we change this situation? How can you do this a little bit better? So ask those leading and guiding open-ended questions so children will be able to fix their own problems without us always jumping in to fix it. And then also, we should not judge their feelings. A lot of times we say, "You okay? No, you will be all right." But no, we have to assure the children that their feelings are accurate. It's okay to feel that way. It's okay to be disappointed and to understand that there will be times that you may not be successful, but continue to try. And the saying always, if at first you don't succeed, try again. So I do believe in that a lot.
That's very good. So I hope our parents and educators, those who are watching live and will catch the replay, take note of those strategies so that we can really help our children through not just the joys, but the disappointments, as well as when they're going through this journey of exploration and discovery and trying something new. So, what do you hope that readers will take away from this book, JR's biggest fan?
My hope is that readers would take away that JR was able to build his confidence. He was able to find something that he really liked to do. He tried many different things and he was unsuccessful, and his mom was there to encourage him. But we want to push children to keep trying. We must encourage them to try and learn new skills, whether it's something with in school, whether it's something at church, at home, sports, music, whatever it may be. Encourage children to participate and to find their niche. And we have to strategize ways for them to meet their goals. We as parents, we have to talk about goal setting with the children and give them the short term and the long term goals, even with younger children. Okay. So we have to set goals with them. And then also to just reassuring children to try new things. And when it seems hard, don't give up. Praise is very, very important. We should give children lots of praise. I believe a lot in affirmation. So parents should provide affirmations to their children. And most importantly, avoid criticizing our young boys and girls and encourage them to be successful.
So, with JR's biggest fan, do you think we'll see the character JR in any future stories?
Yes, we're not done with JR yet because, like I said, it's a story about my son. So, yes, JR will make appearance in future stories. I plan to make it a series of adventures that he participates in, just things that, in school or at home or wherever it may be. So, he will be in various upcoming adventures.
So, can you give us, our audience, or those who will watch by replay, a teaser for of any new projects that you have on the horizon?
Well, as I mentioned earlier, or you mentioned earlier, that I do have the book coming out and it's called Mommy's Little Sunshine. I think I put My Little Sunshine, but it's Mommy's Little Sunshine. And that is another book for Black and Brown boys. But this book will also be included in a curriculum that I will launch very soon. I'm launching a curriculum that will work with parents of Black and Brown boys and give them the tools and strategies they need to build a solid foundation at home. So when their child enters preschool, when they enter kindergarten and beyond, they will be successful and happy learners and excited and ignited and have that spark and joy to go out and read and to be their very, very best.
And you talked a minute ago about the importance of affirmations and parents um, affirming, their children. Um, what are some ways or some things, words of affirmation that you give or have given students?
Well, the name of my publishing company is Great Day Publishing Company, and I always tell everyone anything. Have a great day. When I taught in the classroom, I would tell my students, "You're great." Just that simple word, "You're great." I'm so proud of what you're doing. Those words just mean a lot to the children. With my own sons, my 16-year-old, I will always tell him, "You're the best, and you continue to get better." Letting him know you're doing very good, but you can always get better. There are always things to improve on. So you're the best in my eyesight, and you will continue to get better. And with my other son, we have the affirmation, which is a book, "Love You Forever." I tell him, "I love you forever. I love you for always. As long as I'm living, my baby, you're B." And he's 30 years old, and I still tell him that. So just always telling children, yes, you can. The simple word, yes, you can do that. We don't use the word can't. You can. You're special. You're great. And I always tell them, God didn't make any junk. You're perfect in God's eyesight. You're the apple of his eye.
And I think we got your sister out there watching.
Yeah, my sister-in-law,
Hi, Miss.
she's one of my
Hi,
biggest fans.
Miss Cynthia. Thank you for joining us today on the Far Side. I believe this is such a great um, interview with a wonderful author, Dr. Sheila Thomas. She brings to the platform such a wealth of educational experience. What is something that you would encourage teachers um, as far as strategies, even for reading? Because you gave us the quotes about the exposure, the lack of books about Black and brown boys. We know, the statistics about the number of Black and brown children referred to special ed or to in school suspension, or the school suspension data, or those who, if they're not reading by third grade, um, that pipeline to prison
Mhm.
um, information research. So, what are some things that, new teachers, and even those of us like myself who've been in education 20 years, 20 plus year, 20 going on plus years, um, can do to change the narrative, um, and kind of push the needle forward when it comes to even getting our Black and brown children to read and to, you know, engage in their learning process.
One thing I tell all parents, educators, is to make reading exciting and fun, and don't make it a chore. I tell all parents, I'll start with parents first, is communication is the core to begin reading, to begin writing, and everything. So I tell parents, as soon as you know you're with child, begin communicating with that baby in the womb. And as soon as that baby is born, begin reading to your child. All books, of course, once they are of age, you want to read books that are on their level. But communication is first and foremost, meaning that when the child is getting dressed, or you're putting a diaper on that child, or his or her clothing, you talk about, "I'm going to put your red shirt on. I'm putting your blue shirt on. Now mommy's going to go and fix your breakfast. I'm going to warm up this bottle for you." All day long communication. Communication includes singing to your young baby, talking to your young baby in full, complete sentences. That is the core for a child beginning to read. That is the solid foundation. Once that child gets into school, I encourage all teachers to take that child where he or she is. Find out. about his home environment, his or her culture. Did they have books at home? That makes a difference in how much a parent communicates with the child, so you know who you're working with. And then bring books of diversity inside your classroom, so the child would be able to see books that looks like him or her and read to that child. Encourage children to read. And when reading, again, make it enjoyable. When I read with my sons, I turn into that character. I probably tell people tell me I do the most. I mean, I animate everything. I animate my dog. She has a voice, so I make it so much fun. So you take that character and you build a world around it where the child would be so excited. They'll say, read more to me." So that's why I encourage all teachers to make it exciting. Don't make reading such a chore. Even though we know students have to meet their goals and those educational grades that we must give to them, but don't make it such a boring chore for the children in the classroom.
Well, thank you for that wonderful insight. I'm sure that will be helpful knowledge for teachers to take with them as we begin the classroom, this school year. I mean, some of us are already back in the classroom, and some go back within the next week or two,
Yes.
if not next week or the week after. So school year is kicking off. So we definitely want to have those strategies in place to encourage our reading for our students across the board. So, what is something you're a publisher? As well as an author, as well as a veteran teacher. So what brought you from you know from teaching to writing now to publishing?
Well, I've my journey with writing began when I was in college, taking an early childhood reading class. One of our assignments was for us to create a book for children. And that project was so much fun. And that was over 31 years ago. And that day I vowed that I would become an author of children's books. So the opportunity to do it came last summer during COVID. Of course, we all, I think, delved into our gifts and our talents. So I was able to utilize that time to create my first book. And now I'm just more and more excited about what I'm doing. My brand is, like I say, about building families and building children. So, I found out that's what God has for me to do, to write these books and to encourage parents to read. So, as you mentioned earlier, I utilize my brand to support families, to support children, to support my community. And not only just with my books, just a little caveat is that my husband and I even offer a free little library. If you heard of those, the free
Mhm.
little libraries, we have one in our community that we started, and we go on our weekly dates to put books inside the book, in front of the Free Little Library that's located at the Homeless Center. So it's about giving back. My brand, Thomas Educational Consulting and Training and Great Day Publishing, it's about giving back to the community in a way to encourage children to read and be successful, and most importantly, to close the literacy gap in our nation.
Well, we appreciate your hard work, your years of dedication as an educator, and that you're still investing in children and in our communities with what you're doing with writing and publishing, and your service, um, just by sharing your love of literature through the free little library. That's such a great concept and idea to make those resources available to children who may not be near a public library or have access to books of their own, and how valuable it is to have a book, to be able to have a book that's yours, that you can say, this is my book and it belongs to me. So thank you so much for sharing that with our audience. Now, just as you wrote, and were inspired by the children's literature class that you took, what are some suggestions that to help young authors, where you start teaching, those writing skills early on? Um, what are some suggestions for young authors out there who want to become better writers?
Well, if young authors want to become better writers, they must become readers. Okay, because they need to see the stories they want to write. There's so many that may be similar to the genre, so they need to go to the local library or the local bookstore and check out books and read, 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 read. And also, they need to journal what it is that they want to write about. One thing that I did as an author, I kept a little notebook or a little binder by my bed. And anytime I had an idea, even in the middle of the night, I wrote it down. So I encourage young writers to always journal, keep a journal, whether it's on an electronic device, because we know most of them utilize the electronic device, which I do too now, to write it down, brainstorm your ideas, and any thoughts that come to you for a book, write it down. Anything you see, anything that comes to your imagination, write it down. Also, find your support system. As you see, the book is called JR's Biggest Fan. Find your biggest fan. Find someone who will encourage you and support you in your writing. Don't give up on your dream. Keep pushing. Yes, you can. You can do it. You can be a young writer. There are so many out there. So also look on social media and find those young authors and model yourself after them. You can do it.
All right. Well, when I say representation matters, what does that mean to you, especially for this story of JR's biggest fan?
Well, we've kind of alluded to it already because of the statistics that we talked about. But
Mhm.
I wanted little boys, little black and brown boys, to see themselves in the story that will allow them to connect with the story and connect with the world around them, and have a story that connects with their culture and their feelings and their emotions. Like I said, there are not many books out there that has a black or brown boy as the main character and also shows him on the cover. So when they're walking through the stores and say, hey, that little boy looks just like me. So I wanted to motivate and inspire boys. And by seeing themselves on the cover, it would encourage them to want the book, to pick up the book, and to read that book. So it's important for us to represent our little black and brown boys in our books.
So, how can our live audience and those who will be watching the replay purchase your book and connect with you on social media?
Great question. They could connect with me through my website, which is drsheila.thomas.com. That's DRSHEILA Thomas.com. On that website are all my books are listed as well as other products. Also, there is a form to fill out. I would be delighted to virtually read to students in the classroom, read my book to them. And that's just something I enjoy doing, reading to the students. So if a teacher anywhere would like for me to come in virtually, like we're doing, and read my story and share my experiences with their children, feel free to fill that form and contact me. You may also email me at drsheila.thomas1@gmail.com. That's another way to contact me as well. That's drsheila.thomas1@gmail.com. I'm also on social media on Facebook at Thomas Ed Consulting on Facebook as well as Instagram. So all those outlets is where you can find me. My books are also available on Amazon, Target, Books a Million, Barnes and Noble, and other bookstores as well. But if you want a personalized autograph copy, you can purchase from our website, drsheila.thomas.com.
And so, for those of us who are avid readers, we know how important it is to go to the author's website. So, definitely to support and purchase her books, make your first stop
Yes.
Dr. Sheila Thomas .com, so you can get that personalization, get that personal touch, and see all of the things that she has to offer, a lot with her books and her services and other things that she and events that she may have coming up, and ways that you can connect with her. So definitely check her out at drsheila.thomas.com. So, Dr. Thomas, I want to personally say thank you for joining us today and PharSide, this PharSide Coed Book Club for PharSide Pholios this afternoon. And we wish you continued success with not only JR's biggest fan, but all of the projects that you have forthcoming and all the work that you're doing in education and the community. We so appreciate your time with us on today.
Thank you so much. It has been my pleasure to be a part of this broadcast.
Well, for our live audience and replay viewers, make sure you're staying tuned to the PharSide Coed Book Club Facebook page for more author interviews and posts as we are expecting the amazing in August. So until next time, many roots, many voices are a part of the infinite story. So plant your seed. Have a great afternoon.
Have a great day.